Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Now, it is so exciting because I'm ready to share with you my week 1 update for my intuitive gut healing journey. And we're in the kitchen because first of all, I am going to share with you 7 really easy things that you can do, some of them here in the kitchen, that will actually help you to start healing your gut today. So this is going to be really good. Let's do it. There's June. She wanted to say hi. Tip number 1 to start improving your gut health today is to make sure you're drinking enough water. Most people actually are not. And so what I always recommend to my clients as the very first step is to make sure they're drinking at least half of their body weight in ounces of water every single day. So the easiest way to do that is to grab a drink bottle that has measurements on the side like this one does. And this is a really helpful way to just make sure you're hitting that amount of ounces every single day. Note that you don't have to jump your water intake up to like the maximum amount right away. You can gradually step it up, but make sure you get to that max because it's going to help to allow your digestive system to move everything through. And it's also been shown to be really helpful to the stomach lining and the good bacteria in our guts. Tip number 2 is to eat more fiber. Fiber is actually what helps us to feel full in our stomachs when we eat, but also it helps to, once again, move everything through your digestive tract. Fiber comes from all plant foods, whether they be fruits, vegetables, nuts, or seeds, okay? So adding another handful of veggies or another handful of fruit to your plate, to your smoothie in the morning can be a really fantastic thing to do to help you to gradually increase that fiber intake. And now, if you jump up your fiber intake, you might experience some things like gas, bloating, and that is something that is generally considered normal only because you're increasing your fiber by that much. So that's why I always recommend to all my clients and really to anybody, if you want to improve your gut health, increase your fiber and do it gradually but consistently over time. Tip number 3 is to make sure you're getting some probiotics. Now, probiotic supplements have become really easy to get your hands on nowadays. So you can usually just go to a grocery store and you'll find that there's a lot of variety. And the thing is that they can have multiple strains of bacteria in them, or they could have 10 billion, 30 billion of the same bacteria in them. Honestly, it is kind of about finding the right blend of probiotics for you. And once again, probiotics are simply the good gut bacteria that we want to make sure is growing and thriving. So we take probiotics to make sure we have more of that good bacteria in our bellies. You can also get probiotics from food. So you can find it in things like active yogurt. You can also find it in kefir, which is a really great one as well. Or you can find it in things like kimchi and sauerkraut, which are fermented. And these fermented foods are fantastic for probiotics, which help our gut. We are back in the office now, and that is because this next tip can be really helpful for those of us that feel like we have to work a lot, always be on the go, have to get things done for deadlines, etc., etc. And that is to reduce your stress. This is something that I've been really working on myself, and it's not because I hate my work. I love my work. It is something that I know I am meant to be doing, but I can often hold a lot of pressure on myself and feel a lot of exhaustion that I don't address. And so that's why mitigating our stress, finding ways to reduce or release our stress is so important. Sometimes we don't even realize the amount of stress that we're under, and that's why I actually had gotten sick about a month ago. So instead of getting to the point where your body literally has to shout out to you and react to something for you to take notice, start taking steps every single day to reduce your stress. This could be anything from breath work to meditation, journaling, working out. Anything and everything that makes you to feel good and release that stress is something that you can always lean into more. So reducing stress is fantastic because when we have too much stress, it actually lowers the blood flow to the gut, which then inhibits the good bacteria from growing. So we really want to make sure we're reducing stress, mitigating stress on a daily basis so that we can continue to improve our gut health. Tip number 5 is to make sure you're getting enough sleep. Yes, this is something that I have been really poor about. My sleep habits, after having kids, really struggled. So that is something I've really been dedicated to over the past month or so because I'm really committed to improving my health, and I know that sleep has so much to do with it. During sleep, our cortisol levels will start to reduce, our body continues to process food, and honestly, our memory starts going from short-term memory back into our long-term memory banks. So there's so many amazing things that happen during sleep, but when we're not getting enough sleep, like I was, then our body is not able to do that. In addition, serotonin cannot get produced as well, which is really detrimental to how we feel, our mood, and our energy levels. So that is something else to be aware of. So getting enough sleep not only helps to reduce stress, allows the body to process all the things it needs to process, but it also can help our gut. Tip number 6 is to change your diet up. Sometimes it's really easy for us to eat a lot of refined foods because we're constantly on the go. We have to run from errand to errand, meeting to meeting. But unfortunately, these refined foods generally are lacking a lot of vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So instead of doing that, let's opt for a more whole food approach. And I don't mean the store. Let's look for unrefined produce. Things like fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, lean proteins, healthy fats. Let's take the refining out of it and really lean into more of the foods that we can find if we were to go out to a farm, if we were to go to the farmer's market. These are all foods that will be more beneficial for our bodies because of their increased nutrient amount. And last but not least is tip number 7, which is check if you have any food intolerances. Now, sometimes when we eat certain foods, and you might have experienced this in the past too, when you eat certain things, you might have a bit of a reaction to it. Not as bad as an allergic reaction, but more like you might feel a little bit of gut irritability, maybe you get bloated or constipated, maybe you have diarrhea, maybe you have pain in your belly. These are all signs that you may have an intolerance. When we think we have an intolerance, the first step is really to write down the foods that you're eating and how you feel afterwards. This is important because we want to be able to tie back how you feel with certain foods. And this might take up to even 3 or 4 weeks to note down all the different foods you're eating and how you feel, but it will be worth it because then we should start to see trends like certain foods indicating more gas or certain foods leading to constipation, that kind of thing. If you need help with this, make sure to find a professional or a nutrition coach that can help you, because finding out your food intolerances will also help to heal your gut. And that is because once you remove those intolerances, your gut lining will be less inflamed and you'll be able to heal. And now for the results of week 1 from my intuitive gut healing journey. Not only do I feel so much better, feel so much lighter, have so much more energy, the other thing that I've really noticed is I've actually been eating relatively cleanly, but honestly it's been snacks or when I feel my blood sugar level is getting a little bit lower that I tend to reach for things like refined foods, gluten, crackers, cheese, that kind of thing. And those particular foods I know distress my belly because I don't often feel good after them. I do experience things like bloating, gassiness, and constipation. So after removing those things just for a few days, I started to notice a big difference in my digestion, how I was feeling. I was able to have more regular bowel movements that felt more complete too, which is really important. And then also I would say my sleep was really sound. It was for a good duration and my energy levels were increasing. So that was fantastic. But the other part of it that I thought was really cool was I actually saw a lot of body physical changes. And so that's what I want to share with you now, because I want to show you the impact that it can have on your body, on your physique, when you can figure out the foods that are irritating your body, causing you inflammation, and then you remove them. So this is just for week 1. We'll see how everything goes out for the next 3 weeks. But for week 1, here are my results. For my hips, I went down from 36.75 inches to 35. So that is 1.75 inches. Amazing. For my waist, I went down by, 1.25 inches. For my right thigh, I actually had an increase of 0.5 inch, which I attribute to working out. For my left thigh, there was an increase of 1/4 inch. So I do think that I just started going into a gym to work out, and that's been really helpful for increasing my muscle. And then for my right bicep and left bicep, they're about the same. So that's interesting. Now check out these chest measurements and how they changed. They changed 2 inches, which is crazy, over a 1-week period. So obviously these changes in my measurements can be attributed to a few different things. It doesn't necessarily mean fat lost. It could mean bloating has reduced, inflammation has reduced, and that's fantastic. But I just want to let you know those things because sometimes when we see drastic weight loss, we think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get that every single week, and that's just not sustainable. In fact, experts recommend about 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss every week is the most sustainable. Rapid weight loss can be really challenging to mentally upkeep, and it can also be an indicator that perhaps something unhealthy is going on. So just so you know, weight loss can be a great indicator for health or when you're trying to become healthier, but it's not the only thing to look for. And other things to keep in mind are things like energy levels, how you feel, how active your digestion is. All these kinds of things are fantastic for determining how your health is improving over time, not just your weight number. So all those measurement changes are amazing, and I'm really happy to see those results, mostly because I knew that when my stress levels are high, I tend to store more weight around my midsection, and that is something really common for women. That's typically because when cortisol is high, it actually allows the estrogen hormone to remain high as well, and estrogen is a growth hormone, which means that it allows us to store fat more easily, especially around the midsection. So for me, things like getting sleep and reducing stress are the 2 most important things I can do to help me to reduce some belly fat. But in addition to that, while all those measurements are amazing, the thing that I love the most is that my digestion has improved. I'm feeling better. I feel like I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. I don't have the digestive upset that I was having and the frequency of it when I was on that medication. The other thing that I will note is that I did have a time during the past week where I had to go out for dinner. And when I did that, I think it actually had one of my triggers in the food. And unfortunately, for about 24 hours after I ate that dinner, I really didn't feel well. My stomach was super upset, and in fact, I had to nap and lie down because my stomach hurt so bad. So that was unfortunate, but it is a good reminder that even with just a few days of eating this particular way, this way of intuitively knowing the foods that can help my gut and also the foods that do not help my gut, I'm already able to see a significant improvement in my health, but also when those foods are reintroduced, I'm seeing a significant response in my system. And that's something that you need to know, especially if you're trying to figure out your own food intolerances. So those were my 7 tips to help you to improve your gut health today. Let me know which ones you're gonna give a try. And remember, you don't have to implement all of those tips straight away. Just pick one and then start to make that a habit. Start making sure that you can do that every single day and then add in another habit. But also, I loved sharing with you guys my results from week 1 of my intuitive gut healing journey. I can't wait to see what week 2 brings and see what kind of results I get then. But in the meantime, let me know what else you want to see in this series for my intuitive gut healing journey. And also, I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like. Thank you.